My name, Eon. Really weird name, right? IOAN isn't the most normal thing, isn't like a Sean or an Alex. And that actually ties well into my story because, well, I'm not from here. I'm from a place called Bulgaria. Do either of you, have either of you been to Bulgaria?
Never been.
Never been. Do you know where it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's in Europe. It's a small little crack to the left of Turkey, right above Greece. So Balkan Europe. And the reason why that's important is I was born in Bulgaria. I spent 5 years of my life in Bulgaria. And unfortunately, due to my size, I'm somewhat of a larger human, I was born with a condition called congenital clubfoot, super common. Around 1 in 3,000 kids are born with it, every 3,000 kids that are born. And in America, Canada, Europe, even in Asia now, the method to treat that is called the Ponseti method, which involves casting. And essentially what clubfoot is imagine your tendons, your ligaments, your Achilles, all these micro muscles and aspects of your body are not developed as you're a baby, like this ball of mush, right? Your brain's like wobbly and you don't really have core strength and your legs are flopping, can't even walk. And what happens is in the embryo, if your ligaments, predominantly your legs, push upon your mother's sac, the leg is born twisted. So I came out and the entire foot, think of a normal foot that sits down, was completely inverted.
Whoa.
So couldn't walk, obviously. And my mom had me. The doctors, they were like, whoa, what's going on? My parents freaked out. And they said he had clubfoot. They're like, don't worry, go home. It'll fix itself, which unfortunately wasn't true. We come back my mom came back to the hospital 3 weeks later and they said, he needs operations. And at that point, the doctors changed my life forever because they charged my mom around 20,000 USD to actually sever my Achilles with an operation I didn't need. And this is because of the policies in Bulgaria, post-communist era, as a lot of countries, Slovakia, Serbia, even in Greece, you'll hear this a lot. There's a lot of corruption.
Right.
And that corruption stems systemically, mafia, doctors, you name it. So that's the predominant reason why. People have to survive.
Wow.
And it's not the doctor's fault, nor do I have any hatred for him, nor do I even know his name. But he did that to collect more money so that he could survive. I had that first operation. And then 6 months goes by and it gets worse. So actually now I'm at the point where I should be taking my first steps and the foot is actually growing in complete disproportion. So they take it, they cut it up, they tear the Achilles and they slap it on. And essentially what they did was they made the Achilles shorter to yank it up, right? Achilles is a long, very long tendon. And they cut it and they yanked my foot up like this. And then my mom goes back to the doctors again and they say he needs another operation. My mom's like, what the hell? Like, how many operations is he going to need? And they're like, a lot, until he's probably full grown 16, 18. Go through the second operation, nothing changes. Still having troubles walking. And at this point, the internet started becoming a thing. So luckily, my mom looked up clubfoot, looked up Ponseti, looked up all these things and found a treating doctor called Dr. Zhivkov in Bulgaria. And he was affiliated with one of the best doctors in the world, which we'll get into in a sec. That is Dr. Pirani. He's in Surrey.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he's in, New Westminster, Surrey General Memorial. That's where Dr. Pirani is, but I'm kind of jumping a little bit. Dr. Zhivkov meets me. I'm around 3 years old at this time. And he says, holy shit, they messed you up real good. He has to do a correcting operation. So by the age of 3, I've had 3 operations and still couldn't walk. Dr. Zhivkov does a correcting operation, fixes it as much as he can. And from the ages of 3 to 5, I can't walk. I'm essentially in a cast and I like walk around with these special shoes, but I'm like limping. And then Dr. Zhivkov says, Eon, Maria, my father, you need better treatment. Like you're a one-of-one case. They cut you up really good. You're lucky you can walk. And this is where he says, go to Vancouver, Canada to go continue treatment with Dr. Pirani at Surrey General. So we do that. My mom packs $10,000, 6 suitcases, and we all fly to Canada as immigrants in 2005. At Surrey General Memorial Hospital, I am in weekly physiotherapy with Dr. Zhivkov for an extensive period around, I was 5 when we came here. I was in physio until around 12. And at 12, throughout all those years, we're talking over 900 hours of physiotherapy, just working on the leg. I also get diagnosed with scoliosis. So scoliosis is your curvature of the spine. And because my hips are not level, because of the Achilles being cut, they said, hey, you need to level out your foot in order to stop the scoliosis, the curvature of the spine. Otherwise, you're going to need back surgery. Now, I don't know if any of you know this, but back surgery is the most dangerous operation where doctors all around the world actually get their patients to sign off on the fact that they may become quadriplegic or paraplegic because every nerve runs through the back of the spine.
Wow.
Very dangerous operation. And at that time, this is really where I think one of my key characteristics of grit really clicked. And mind you, the story that I'm telling you is the sequence of events. I do not remember that much out of all of this. I think it's because it's trauma or stress. Yeah. The brain of the child being developed throughout all those core years. I'm just telling you the timeline of the record-based events. So this is one of the core memories that I had at around 12, 14, when Dr. Prani's like, hey, we need to fix this scoliosis. Otherwise, you're going to have another operation. My mom's obviously like, hell no, we're not doing that all again. And essentially what Dr. Zhivkov does is he tells me to get on this board, or sorry, Dr. Prani does, he tells me to get on this board. It's slanted 20 degrees. And the goal of this board is to stretch the foot. So before, I couldn't even stretch my foot at all. I couldn't do this at all. So I couldn't move it around. I couldn't do circles. Like, this is crazy that this is even working. And
is that the foot?
That's the foot. This is my right foot. That's complete. I'll show you guys in a second. But I get on this board every single day playing video games for 2 hours. And I do that for 2 years. And miraculously, I avoid the surgery, the back surgery operation. I extend it past 20 degrees. And at around the time I was 14, so from 5 to 14, and then onwards at around that 14-year-old age, once I got out of the scoliosis dangers, I'd call it, they put me in orthotics. Orthotics were like this thick, 2 inches thick, wide, supporting the feet. Wow. And I was in orthotics every single day until I was 21 years old. So physiotherapy and like this whole condition affected my life from when I was born all the way up until around 20 years old. And throughout that entire experience, luckily, at around the ages of 11 to 14, I started walking. I was able to, get back into rhythm. I was able to walk, I was able to run, but there was always the uncertainty of what would happen if I continued to grow. The doctors didn't really know if it would develop in a bad way, right? And so there was always the risk of more operations, more surgeries. Luckily, somehow, knock on wood, at the ages of, I'd say high school, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, picked up sports, no real problems. So played basketball in high school and, started weight training at grade 10, grade 12, but I was really skinny at the time, still around 6'4", 6'5", and I was around 145, 150 pounds.
Wow.
And I had no confidence. I had absolutely no confidence. I'd be on the basketball stage, and I remember playing basketball in front of this giant crowd, all the audiences, all the teams around the Lower Mainland, and all I could think about all day long was the sheer size difference between my feet. Every time I'd go up to shoot a free throw or get on the field, I tried to pull my socks up as high as they can go because I was so self-conscious about my right foot. And luckily, I was kind of awoken to that realization after, as we all have gone through a severe breakup at the end of high school. Yeah. We've all been through a shitty breakup, I'm sure.
At some point, yeah.
Exactly.
Heartbroken.
And at 18, I was lucky enough to go through that. And that's when I had my first realization of, holy shit, like, okay, this all sucks. My heart's broken, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to hit the gym. And so I started eating 2 chicken breasts, rice, and some broccoli for every meal for 3 months. And I went from, I think it was 150, 145, 150 to around 190 pounds. I'm like, this is freaking awesome. Like,
damn.
We're getting some momentum. We're growing all naturally. Like, and I'll explain how I can prove this. But I started putting on size. I kept doing that. I kept doing that in essential cycles of bulking and cutting. And at the time, I was also going to university at the College of Langara. So I get up to around 200 pounds, and I'm really, really, really kind of sick of school at this point. I got 53 in macroecon by a 5'1" professor that's yelling at me about how GDP is a function of this, and you can't take into the account of the black market or foreign trade. This is the formula for calculating something.
He's an econ major.
Yeah,
I remember, bro.
Yeah, so in my head, and you'll learn this about me, or you might know this already. I'm really hard-headed, not stubborn, but like if I know something is unconceivably true, I'm not gonna reject or let anyone sway my opinion. Yeah. Like, for example, I don't think that's a good way to do economics. If you're not being holistic about the whole picture, don't even freaking do it in the first place. Like, let's sit down, let's do it right. So I was really hard-headed in university, and I dropped out. I dropped out of university. I started looking up day trading. Day trading crypto. So I got into crypto. I was swinging 100x crypto futures.
What? I didn't know this.
Yeah, I was swinging 100x crypto futures USDT to Bitcoin.
Let's go.
With $2,000 leverage. So you get liquid.
Leverage.
Yes, leverage
I
trading.
never leverage trade. Okay, you're a different breed.
So I was all in on it. So that was my first. I was locked in on it.
Yeah, let's go. Plug it.
That was my first real aspect, I'd say, of like trying to make money myself. And again, this is around the time, I know the timeline it's an extensive timeline. This is around the ages of 20, 21. So I drop out of Langara, and I'm also working out as a lifeguard at the pool at the time. And this will relate to the story in a bit. And I was making good money. I was making like $35 an hour as a lifeguard. So I had lifeguarding. Yeah.
How long? A couple of years ago too.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So I was working at the pool and like doing all this day trading guru, make money online stuff. That was the first taste.
The Sigma male stuff.
Exactly. Long story short, day trading didn't really go anywhere. It was kind of like I realized that it was way too stressful, and I couldn't fathom winning $2,000 in a day and losing $2,000 in a day. I had around 10K to play with. And this was from an extensive amount of just saving up. After one faithful day at the pool, as I was working as a lifeguard, I dropped everything and I quit. And the reason why I quit was because of bureaucracy. If you've ever worked for a city or an environment where like there's management, there's no margins for profit or any of these things, it's just la la land.
Yeah.
So I got fed up and sick with it. Luckily, I hadn't stopped pursuing my athletic ability. And around the time I quit the pool, we'll backtrack a little bit to, I said I was gaining weight. I got up to around 225 pounds naturally.
Wow.
And at that crevice, I went to the pool and I swam 25 meters and I realized I couldn't even breathe. Like, I'm this big guy and I can't even breathe for 25 meters. I'm not even that healthy. And so I realized, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to sign up for an Ironman and I'm going to sign up for a natural bodybuilding show to prove to myself that I can do whatever expressions or limitations that I've had in the past. Screw those things. I'm going to sign up for these two events. They were within a month span and I'm going to get them done. And throughout that entire experience, I've been able to bike 320 kilometers in a day, training for the Ironman. I was doing a ton of aesthetics at the time. I cut down to 200 pounds. I biked up, we have local mountains here, biked to Seymour, Grouse, Cypress, Triple Crown, done that 4 or 5 times in a day. I just never saw a ceiling with physical endeavors or even limitations with my ailment. And luckily, in the first Ironman that I did, Calgary 70.3 Ironman, it was during COVID and it was during wildfire season. So the air was smoky. The air quality index was around 270. Right now we're at like 7. Wow. Luckily, get into the race, great swim, go onto the bike. I have a 40th in the race on the bike, so I'm really strong on the bike. Then I get to the run and I blister at around 3K in. But long story short, I just pushed through and I ended up finishing 12th in my age group for the Calgary 70.3 Ironman with 1 year of preparation. I had some cyclic fitness before that, but 1 year preparation. And then
That's impressive, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And then for the bodybuilding show, I ended up winning the Most Inspirational Journey Award as per everything that I've kind of spewed up here. I didn't end up placing because this was during COVID. So there wasn't like a rookie or an amateur class. It was just kind of like a mix of open. So there was around 11 competitors. There was these guys that were like 27, 29, shredded, full natural. And WNBF stands for World Natural Bodybuilding Federation. So they test urine, blood, polygraph, you name it. So fully natural. I wanted that seal of approval behind my name. And it's a 10-year timestamp as to the competing event.
You're social proof for someone that, you know, looks at you and like, I want to achieve that. And then, you know, you offer them obviously a service but you can get into that later, but yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So luckily, social proof is huge. Yeah. I think in this aspect or this stage of my life, we kind of jumped a lot. But throughout the figuring shit out phase, I realized at that moment in time when I was 20, I'm like, holy shit, okay. No one really knows my story. No one really knows what I'm about. I haven't done anything cool. Let's change those things. And I kind of went all in on that. And that's really where, after I got the Ironman and the bodybuilding down, I knew that I had some credibility. So a couple months go by and I say, fuck the pool. I quit. So I quit the pool full-heartedly. I have no source of income, like zero. And the thing I jump into right away is personal training. And at the time, I was vegan or plant-based. So I was vegan for 3 years. I'm no longer vegan. I'll explain why in a second. But I start something called plant-based performance. And plant-based performance is essentially fitness coaching, but we take into account nutrition and sleep and all these other things. That gets rolling. 7 months, nothing. 8 months, nothing. Just failing, trying to figure it out. And my mom's boyfriend at the time had a serial entrepreneur brother. So we chat with him. He doesn't really push us in the right direction. And then I think, and I'm like, wait a sec, there's a kid from my school named Nathan Nazareth. And Nathan is he's the biggest TikTok affiliate, biggest Shopify affiliate on TikTok.
You'd have him on the podcast, essentially.
100%. He would love to.
Yeah.
And Nathan went to my high school. And I remember Nathan is doing really well. So I meet up with him. I'm like, hey, man, I've done all this cool shit. Is this something that, you need help with? He's like, yeah, absolutely. And so I start coaching him. And at around the same time, I meet Martin, business partner. He'll come on here.
Absolutely.
And I just meet Martin sporadically. A friend of mine was also an Ironman, and he asked me to go work out with him, and Martin just showed up. Anyways, we'll get back into that. Nathan. I get on a call with Nathan once a week. I do his meal planning. I do some meal preps for him. Like I deliver them to him from Richmond to Vancouver. And then one day Nathan gets on a call. He's like, Eon, Martin, I don't have freaking time for you guys to sit on a call with me for 1 hour a day. Like, not trying to be rude. An hour of my time is a lot. It's worth a lot. And this isn't worth it. I'd rather you just do this all for me. And then Nathan hangs up the phone. He was paying us like $500, $800 a month at this point. And that was the only source of income that we had from Optimability, which was plant-based performance. 8 months later, we changed it to Optimability. Hangs up the phone.
Love the name, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And hangs up the phone. And I am in my basement, which was where I lived at the time. And I'm in pure ecstasy. I'm like, holy shit. Nathan's a freaking genius, and I just figured out what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Like, I've smoked weed before, I vaped before, back in my DGen 19-year-old, 18-year-old days. Like, I've done mushrooms, and I promise you, I've never felt a more pure ecstasy than the moment that Nathan slammed the phone on me and Martin. Martin calls me up right after. He's like, "Hey, Jan, man, like, I don't know about this whole Optimability stuff." Like, and I'm like, "Martin, Nathan just figured out our entire business model. We're going to do and systemize health for high performers.
Let's go."
So at that moment in time is really where things started to turn. And essentially what this means and how we can tie this into kind of where we are now, so I can stop spewing and we can have a more engaging conversation.
Bro, yeah. We're so engaged into this. Keep going.
Okay, I appreciate it. Is we essentially figured out the 3 biggest pain points for honestly all of humanity, but currently for our offer, this is the pinnacle of people making north of 6 figures a month, owning a 7+ figure business. And these pain points are as follows. The first one is don't waste your time, okay? Don't waste your time means that you should not be cooking or cleaning your own food and folding your laundry. If you're making over 6 figures a month, the last thing on your plate that you should be doing in a day is cooking and cleaning. Right? And I actually realized this as we were servicing Nathan. I'm like, who's like cooking your food? I'm doing it right now, but I have to scale my business, so I'm not going to have time to do this eventually. Holy shit. I'm going to train somebody to come in your home, shop for you, cook for you, clean for you, organize everything, and be like your mom number 2, because you don't live with your mom anymore. And I bet as hell you miss her because, because you work from home and there's no one really here. It's just
everyone misses the mom.
Yeah. So that was the first aspect of the business. And that's what we currently offer, which is the in-home automation piece, where we'll find somebody that comes in your home, cooks and cleans for you, and we manage, install, hire, and train them. All A+. It wasn't A+ in the beginning. There was a lot of mistakes, which we can dive deeper into. The second aspect of the business, which actually ties into the veganism, is everything doesn't work. When I was vegan, I watched one movie, Game Changers. Game Changers is the name of the movie.
Netflix.
Yeah. And my good friend, Samantha Gosel, she's really good friends with my girlfriend, showed me this movie. And I'm like, holy shit, no saturated fat, no trans fat in my arteries means I'm going to go way faster and I'm going to be super strong and great and I'm going to be a great triathlete. So that's literally the only thing that made me go vegan, which is why I'm saying I'm really hard-headed.
Especially you're like Netflix doc. It must be true.
Exactly. And the reason why we use everything doesn't work as our second staple piece is because there's so many fads out there. Keto might work for you. Veganism might work for you.
I'm carnivore.
You're carnivore. Boom. Great example. Veganism might work for you if you're training for an Ironman and you're burning through your insulin storages, right? What's another example? Whole Foods works for me because I'm a balanced athlete. And the truth is that nobody can tell you what works for you except your own body. So what we do at Optimability is we decode your biology. We take your bloods, your gut test, your genetics, we do a DEXA scan, we give you a tracking wearable so that we can track your heart rate, et cetera. So that way we're able to interpret, okay, your testosterone is low or your vitamin B12 is high. Let's reduce the red meat and let's find out what the root cause is of the testosterone being low. Is it contaminants in your food? Is it your clothing? Is it the type of exercise you're doing? Are you not getting enough sunlight? And by decoding biology, we actually implement this into the meals and the training for people.
Wow.
So we have a full software that decodes, and for the first time in history, we're actually decoding the way the human body is talking. So right now, between everybody in this room, there are trillions of neurons and signals going between your stomach to your eyes, to your nose, to your genetics, and how all these things are being fabricated. And one thing that we are really lucky to realize is we are going to cure the living past 150, 100%. Not as in, I think that we will as an optimability, but humans will.
Yeah.
And it's going to come down to decoding what our bodies are telling us right now. Where is inflammation being stored? What's the artery that's being blocked? Why is it being blocked? What parasites exist in my stomach and how do they communicate with the bloods? What is my actual fat mass? You guys want to know something crazy?
Drop it.
Everything that exists with a meal plan calculator online doesn't work. Yeah. Everything. If you go in and you type in caloric calculator and you say, I'm 6'5" and I weigh 220 pounds and it gives you the macros. That shit's bullshit. Here's why. Something called a DEXA scan. I can show you mine, but essentially it breaks down your body's fat, bone, muscle mass, as well as your fat, bone, muscle mass, as well as visceral fat and some other ones. This is the only way to know what components of your body's composition burn how much, right? Because if you have higher muscle mass, you're going to burn more calories.
Right.
If you have lower muscle mass and more fat, you can be in a really big deficit. Like there's like this king that was 700 pounds and he fasted for like 2 years. It's in some scripture and he survived totally fine. And the reason—
One quick question I have is what are your thoughts on fasting? Because I just did a 24-hour fast to prepare for this.
Yeah, fasting is terrific. It completely cleanses the colon especially, which we'll dive deeper into in a bit here. But essentially, the DEXA scan is the only way to get an accurate meal plan ever. That's the best that humans have so far.
Right.
And if you're not—
where can you get it for those? Obviously,
they're $200. We have terrific partners at Jebediee DEXA Scan. I'm really good friends with the owner and CEO. His name is Jerry Kroll. He actually invented those solo cars. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them. They're like those one-manned person cars. He sold the rights to Chevy and GM, and he ran for the Green Party elect a couple of years ago. But super cool guy. He runs like a sub 130 half marathon, total beast. He's in his late 50s. Wow. Yeah, super nice guy. So he owns Jebediee clinics. There's one in Richmond as well as one here on Broadway, and we just send our clients there. 20-minute scan, and that's the key to health. It's decoding what your body is telling you based on what goals you have. If you want to run 100 miles, it's going to be orchestrated around where you're currently at with your genetics and your blood, etc. So that's the decoding under everything doesn't work aspect. The last thing that we do and that we realized was keep it simple. We have a doctor, a geneticist. We also just onboarded the third-ranked Ironman athlete in Canada called Jamison Plewis. He ran an 8:28 Ironman, full Ironman. He placed second in Kona, all over Canadian Triathlon Magazine. He's currently doing his doctorate in Hungary. Good friend of mine. And he's on the team as well. So we have doctor, geneticist, Jamison, and then we also have housekeeper, physiotherapist, trainer, all in the same group chat, talking about the client, talking about, hey, physio, we're changing the meals up. So let's keep an eye on the lower back pain week over week, and let's see how the tension is reacting. Hey, doctor, here are the new supplements that X client is on. Hey, trainer, make sure that they have some sugar before they start the workout because of these supplements that they're taking. You have to take that into account as in like, oh, they might be a little bit lightheaded, whatever. Do you see all these connections that This is pivotal because all these aspects, physio, stomach health, decoding biology, doctor, they need to talk because that's what happens in here, right? So that's kind of the entire premise of Optimability is we bring all those things together, and eventually we're currently working on an app where you guys can have access to all this
like
shit on your phones.
App Store.
Exactly, yeah. So essentially the goal is you open up the app and it says My Health, and it gives you a full picture rundown of your entire body. What's going on, what's unoptimal, what's optimal. Your plans will tell you exactly what you need to follow based on your body to hit your goals, whatever goal you want. And then the My Team section will communicate with the team. So we're working on building this for the general consumer. Eventually, we want to make testing free because my goal is to have this should be a basic human right for everybody.
I agree.
Completely screw the entire reactive healthcare industry.
Yeah.
Supplements are amazing and they don't really fall into the pills. So I'm going to refer to something as reactivity. In humanity, there's two core aspects of health, and the entire centrifuge and all the energy that exists in 99% of health right now is around reactivity. Yeah. We have the best surgeons, the cleanest gloves, the best pills, the best painkillers. But why do we need those things if we're not funneling energy into proactivity? We don't even freaking understand how our brain is communicating with our blood and our gut. We don't even have our freaking physio talking to our nutritionist. Are you kidding me? Like, if you're a basic person and you want to organize all this yourself, you have to go to your doctor, get him in a group chat with your physio, get your nutritionist in that group chat, give them all your data. And the data is PDFs, guys. Like, we built parsers to extract data from PDFs
and get back to common sense. That's
exactly.
This is common sense to me.
Exactly, and it's like we're literally scraping and cleaning up the mess of a lot of deep, dangerous problems that I'm really fulfilled and really happy to be working in the right direction with these things and to scrape these things and to figure out this mess we've gotten ourselves into. So this is an entire spiel. I'll kind of I'll kind of stop it there, but I've been rambling for a little bit too long. But that's kind of where we're at.
But do you also think part of it is with these influencer types that everything is so sensationalist, right? Like, that's the way you get attention, is you take things to the extreme.
100%.
And it's why you have so many people where it's like, you know, seed oils are the most toxic thing ever, and then you have this other guy where it's like, you know, oh my God, the vaccine. It's all so on the extreme
100%.
edge of the spectrum,
100%.
right? So you get pulled around. Like, I used to talk to my wife about this a lot. Like, the amount of people we talk to about health, and they're like, honestly, my biggest problem is I just don't know where
100%.
to put my focus,
100%.
because this guy says this and I kind of trust him. I followed him for a bit. This guy says the exact opposite. 100%. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, most of them are there's one thing they're doing at the forefront, which is behind all their decisions, is I want attention.
Yeah.
I'm online. I want attention. I want my social media brand. I want me to do well. Great. Yeah. Make money online. I freaking love that. That is the core centerpiece of the information that they're providing. They're not there to help you, unfortunately. They're there to make a statement that causes a reaction.
Yeah.
The second centerpiece is, if you're not doing science and you're doing guesswork, you will fundamentally continue to go in crevices. Okay, It's like a business, right? If you're running ads or if you're launching a new campaign and you're not looking at how many people are looking at the ads or responding to the emails and you're just continuously launching them, you're never going to find success with it, which is fundamentally the problem and how elusive all these things are. Is I don't give anybody health advice. I say, you know what? The best way that I can help you is just explain to me in vagueness some of your problems, if that's with your running form or with your digestion or with your breathing, and I'll point you in the right direction with what tests will give you some clarity on those problems, because that's science.
Yeah.
The moment you decode somebody, the way we do it is mobility assessment, max heart rate tests, gut tests, blood. There's a lot of things that we do to get the full picture, as much as information as we can. If you're not doing those things, you're just following what someone else is saying.
Yeah.
I love Huberman. I love Peter Attia. I really do think that Brian Johnson's work that he's doing is very valuable.
I was going to ask you about Brian Johnson, actually.
But here's the thing.
I'm a Dave Asprey fanatic. I have his, you know me.
Yeah.
I'm Dave Asprey.
Here's the thing. Now, I have two screenshots here that I want to share with you guys. And the reason why these screenshots are so pivotal and are super important to me is because they don't solve this problem that I think that we're really trying to solve, which is let's make health more efficient. Let's save your time. Let's help you understand what your body is telling you, and let's put all of your professionals in one place. So you have Dan Go here. If you drink coffee, you're doing drugs daily. And then you have Andrew D. Huberman replying, oh man, I love coffee. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I bring this up is these are mass assumptions. If you drink coffee, you're doing drugs daily. And if you're a reader and you're just a scroller and you're just a regular human being, this doesn't help you get healthy. Now I know they're just putting out content.
Yeah.
But I do not think that demonizing people for not understanding or having the means to actually know what health means is the way to go. We have Brian Johnson, next one. How is everyone doing? Going to bed on time and exercising daily? If I'm an oil worker in Alberta and I have a kid at home and I have to work 19 hours a day to sustain my family because I came from a welfare childhood, if I read this, I'm gonna be like, fuck this guy. He doesn't know what I'm dealing through.
Yeah.
And that's the problem is I truly fundamentally believe that the people that are at the epitome of health or health influencers are actually in their own little bubble.
For sure.
And the bubble that they're in is locked, and it's like, okay, I'm this god in a way.
They're
and
locked
people,
in.
Yeah. and people listen to me, and I have authority, and like I'm just going to do more science for the rest of my existence. And I don't think that's going to solve a problem with humanity's fundamental crisis with health. I think it's going to come from, hey, how can I make what I'm doing applicable for all humans? So damn foolish to demonize the amazing work that physios are doing.
Yeah.
I got in a car crash in October. I was going 40 kilometers an hour down UBC, and a car decided to turn left, and I went over the bars, flipped over the car, didn't break anything, but both my wrists were really sore from the impending bend. And ICBC cleared the bike, whatever. I'm in physio every week now. My last session is tomorrow. And I go to Electra Health, and I have two amazing physios there, Kareem and Rebecca. And then I also see Dr. Mann for chiro, and then acupuncture here and there. And the work that they do on like, Eon, this is your damn problem. Like your anterior tilt, your knee, this is like causing your body. You cannot replace that. And if you're going to sweep that under the rug or demonize that, you're being foolish, and you're omitting something that is very valuable to people. So some people need a physio.
Right.
What's important is the bridge of how and what the physio knows about the person before they even see them. Think of how damn frustrating it is for a physio to see, no offense, an obese person that doesn't do their exercise at home.
Yeah.
No matter what the hell the physio does, that obese person is doomed for the time being until they take their shit in their own hands.
Right.
But fundamentally, the physio can't help them change.
So they need that all-in-one approach.
Of course.
They need the physio, then they need, the
They
diet.
need access to it. They need the insights from the all-in-one approach. And what we're leaning on saying is like, hey guys, your current health plan or what you're currently following, let's say somebody fills something in, is only around 2% accurate.
Right.
Are you comfortable with your whole life, the only vehicle for the rest of your existence, to be 2% accurate? Or do you want it to be 100% accurate?
Yeah, and the thing that I find interesting, going back to that common sense theme that we're, driving on this podcast is like, when I went into my doctor, I don't, I usually just hop on phone calls now. Luckily, I don't need to go to the doctor much. But one problem that I see is like my doctor that I go to every day doesn't know my blood test, doesn't say, hey, you need to get this done, because they want to know that information. They want to know that data. And like, they're almost like, if they were more informed, I feel like they could provide much better results.
The software infrastructures for health need to be elite. It's a very complicated subject.
Yeah.
There's parasites, there's testing, there's thousands of sensitive information markers. It is not going to work with Jane app, which is the app software that everyone, I'm telling you right now, the link generation for meetings 30 minutes before the appointment is created. There's so many intricacies that the doctors, unfortunately, can't do anything about.
Yeah.
And I don't know if either of you have seen that video of there's this Asian neuroscientist in the forest.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And he like films himself,
Yeah.
and he's talking about the entire neurological and the medical industry and how messed up it is on a
in the
hike.
mountains.
Yeah. And it really hits home the point of like those three things I talked about. You can't waste your time doing this stuff, right? If you're working all day and you're obese, unfortunately, it's going to be really difficult for you. Well, actually, it'll be easier for you because you can just fast to lose weight. But it's going to be really difficult for you if, let's say, you're 130 pounds and your healthy weight is 170 and you have to eat a lot and you're working all day. You can't waste your time doing that. And if you don't understand your body or what it's telling you, you're not going to find success. And if your doctor and your entire team don't communicate, it's not going to work. These are just the fundamental truths. And the craziest thing is, if you remove one of these things, it's not going to work, right? Like, you can decode your biology, you can have someone in home that cooks for you, but if your team isn't talking, and your physio isn't telling your nutritionist or your doctor what's going on, it doesn't fall short. You can have all the data in the world and a cool team, but if somebody's not helping you apply it, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Well,
What are some things that you would look at as you start to approach recovering from an injury like that?
Yeah. We've had a severe plethora of injuries. We've had your father's, actually, his dad was one of our clients. He had the shoulder problem. I don't know if you remember that from swimming. We've had a full Achilles tear, which we're actually dealing with right now, full hamstring tear, a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And the core fundamental root of the injury is the first thing that we do is figure out, okay, how the hell does this happen? Did this happen under the circumstances of not warming up? Did this happen under the circumstances of daily movement and mobility? Did this happen under the circumstances of, okay, you know, you were walking, you got hit by a car, you can't do anything. So getting down to the root fundamental cause of how do we make sure that this doesn't happen again? For some of those things, you can dive deeper into them. After that, for something along your case, what we would do is first deploy a physio or a doctor, the best treating specialist, let's say it's a muscle tear, to analyze the severity and tell the client, okay, this is really bad, or okay, you can stay at home and just have treatment at home. Based on that, it would get escalated for an assessment to our doctor right away. He's in kits. And then afterwards, immediate adjustments to the meal plan. So the housekeeper would flush more antioxidants, for example, within the meals, reduce they don't really have bad food in the diet, but like get them on higher protein, for example, higher BCAAs, aminos, things that help healing remedies, potentially look at peptides if it's really serious along those lines. And then weekly physiotherapist check-ins and markings with the progressive reports, because that's a really big problem with physios is they'll come in, they'll see you, they'll wash their hands, and then it's the same thing over and over again. And what we actually derive from the physios is every time we get their notes, we kind of stack those notes and we cross-reference that with the training and the nutrition and see how the client's progressing based on those things. So it's like a full team tackle and approach. But the biggest pivotal piece is like the beginning. How did this happen? How do we make sure this doesn't happen again? And what aspects of where you were when you got injured to being injured, how do we get you back from here and if not better? That's the biggest thing.
Right.